Hello everyone. The title of today's episode is Simplicity Guides Complexity. And what that really means is that when we look at how human consciousness is finding its application, so what that means is how you're alive right now, how you're looking at things, there is a novel moment where you are considering things anew. Okay, so what that means is every moment there's an ability for a new idea to be present, to be made aware of. Now, in our awareness to our world, there's a sense of self and there's a sense of other. That's how sometimes we can recognize the distance between perhaps you and a ping pong table or something, So now, sometimes we dive into certain realities in which we forget how we got there. And mankind throughout the ages has had to work with its sense of forgetfulness, because self-awareness is to some degree self-remembrance. Now, as we remember things, we see that what we cannot understand, let us call it complex. Okay? Now, our understanding is simplifying things. It seems that at times the attempts of the fathers of science was to make sure that an apple fell. So we see that simplification and complexity are simultaneously present, because anything that has gone to its complex stage began simple, right? And so we see that as how the universe is being considered. But sometimes simplicity can be formless, and this is where consciousness is not looking through itself only through the physical plane. So when, let us say, we bring the concept of dimensions, there's one way where you can create them in your imagination and try to say, all right, there's this, Or you can experientially go and see that the opening of a multidimensional view is not limited to how from one reality you're getting there. Do you see? It's as if the thing about simultaneous presence was that it didn't matter who won because we were all the runners. So sometimes aspects of ourself in certain areas are running slow. Sometimes aspects of ourself in certain areas are running fast. But it is simply this knowledge, this simple knowing that complexity is always coming from simplicity, because how else are the foundations of a building there? All structures and all structures of thought are beginning with certain imagery which is accepted by the individual to give it shape. What that means is if you don't go learn Italian and you go to Italy and someone talks to you, you'll be like, what is this person saying? But if you knew Italian, you'd be like, mamma mia. You'd know how to, receive the communication that is here. And sometimes this is the simple knowing that when the being's direct experience is here and now, any sense of any sense of action is complex. It's as if the simplicity is the stillness and silence in noise. Do you see? A movement. So to some degree, it is simply about how your existential attention views itself, and it doesn't have to be in regards to a thinker modality. So what that means is, there was suggested that we're thinkers, but actually, before thinking, what was here? And there was being, Things were existing, and then man developed to a self-awareness where he's like, all right, let me think about this. And so he became a thinker on a rock. But it's not that we are thinkers, it is that we are aware of thought, okay? If you make yourself a thinker, you are creating a filter for how you are to receive the interpretation of this world. And that's the problem. We have too many filters, too many expectations on things that it doesn't matter what we expect. Because a multidimensional experience is not letting go of one dimension and going to the other. It is an acknowledgement of both. So we're not here trying to jump around, from one room to another room. We want to acknowledge all rooms. What that means is immediately we must remember Atman and Brahman. What that means is within you there is a knowing that is untouchable, and it is not complex. Complexity is basking in the simplicity of how consciousness is conscious. So it's all about, to some degree, existential awareness, and in that awareness the intelligence shifts. So there was a moment in my life where just how I was living, things seemed so complex. I actually felt like I was going against a river. But then the simplicity came in getting rid of, not getting rid to a sense, it wasn't that I didn't get it, it's just I looked different. I went to my vision and I'm like, why am I seeing myself going against the river? And I noticed it's because I'm doing certain actions that are not real for me, but are real for my environment. And so there's this thing happening where I'm going outside and I'm, being who I am in whatever, social cultural system, but at the same time knowing that I am beyond that. So there was an emptiness within every action, and because I did not accept that hollowness of this holographic reality, there was a problem, because I was creating a problem. I was aware that someone wasn't getting enough, someone wasn't getting what. And we need to realize this concept of something or someone was part of the consciousness technology, just like how we get so many iTunes updates. Similarly, we need to our consciousness needs to go beyond an acknowledgement of just thing, in knowing that it is beyond, and you are beyond a sense of space and time. Because sometimes you have to ask for the time, or where you are. And it's very crucial to see that how the words are spelled is suggesting what the words innately hold, even regardless of their meaning. So how you've placed certain things, it suggests what meaning there is, So to some degree use that as a metaphor. So a word is a metaphor where it's made of separate parts. You can break down the word, we can totally see the atomic structures and the halls of lattice, but at the same time there is a knowing which never needs to be there, for it is aware that all is here. When you're aware of all is here, you see even the origin of your consideration of space and time was here. What that means is, in your self-exploration, in your sincere and honest self-exploration, to see what you are in your own stillness and silence of being, and Mr.Within recommends going alone in nature, sitting by a stream, you will see as you observe your ideas, it's just like a movie scene. So you're observing all these ideas you have on things, but you're aware of the screen. We are aware that there's thought, for example, We are aware that when we look outside, it's an objective reality, but suddenly when we look within, we're like, wait a minute, There seems to be a subjective consideration where we are saying abstraction, And Mr.Within is saying, let us call it subtler planes of abstraction. We need to linearize it to then non-linearly enter it, do you see? So let us linearize it for now. Now, the concept has a shape. This shape must be seen that it will remain complex unless you begin to see what the number 2 is made of, and it is made of one and its reflection. So duality is, in a sense, present here, similar to how the number 2 is made of 2 ones. We are seeing that the one aspect of this, which is a formless, omniscient knowing, is observing itself through an individual form. And as it does, it's as if there is an observance of duality. We are not caught in duality. We are not lost in samsara. The lords of karma are not mean. There is our existential confrontation of what all our meanings mean to us within a novel moment, within a present moment, is that it is the greatest observance of existential change. So to some degree, I'm seeing everything, going on its walk in life, just like how I'm going on a walk in a park. But at the same time, there is no revelation, because just as you are a movement, just as you are a drop in the stream of life, you're aware of others' drops being there. So on one reality, the stream is made of so many smaller drops, but the intelligence of it is one where it's flowing together, where it's as if all our existence together is a greater intention. So it's like, why are we still playing games of, this human being is better, this human being is better, this human being better, rather than seeing every human being is suggesting the direction of humanity, and how that is flowing into a greater ocean of consciousness, which is cosmic understanding, which is cosmic self-realization. What that means is you take the cosmos into consideration too. You don't just, think the world is the way you think it is. And Henry David Thoreau, a very realized American poet, he has a quote where he says, "It doesn't matter what you're looking at. It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see." So there needs to be an alignment in your daily maintenance of your, let's say, life, your lifestyle, that you are aware that you are the origin of your existence. And when I say you, that means we are taking this into many, from subtle to gross. What that means is from this physical aspect to this, who we are walking in this park, you are seeing that as you, to the degree where you are seeing how you have defined this coagulation of physicality, of objectivity and subjectivity, is that self is seeing itself within other, It's as if the self is recreating itself. So when I learn the word, let's say, dance, when I see other people say the word dance, suddenly, do you see? It's as if the meaning is recreated in another mold of time and space. So simplicity guides complexity, because complexity comes from simplicity. And I remember watching an Elon Musk video on YouTube, and he was saying, one of the best things you can do is get down to the simple truth of the matter, And what happens when you're getting down to the simple truth? You are met with your own sense of how much you are willing to accept or trust life or not trust life. So what that means is, it would be a shame if you went to pick up a flower for the first time and you picked up a rose and the thorns, let's say the thorns hit you, you know what I mean? And let's say your hand held a rose and the thorns made you realize why that flower has an elegance. But at the same time, imagine if just because of how the thorns felt, you never pick up any other flower, So we cannot say reality is truth in only one way, in one cultural or socially recognizable way. What that means is we want to open the mystic's gaze. We want to see that mysticism is not about the form. It is about the awareness through a formless presence beyond personality. This is very crucial, because if you're not aware of what you are beyond what you think you are, you will feel as if you're not going anywhere, but there's so many places to go. You need to activate an authentic and sincere sense of self that within an absolute moment selflessly remembers itself omnisciently. And it is not speakable. Of course, I'm being very poetic here talking about it, but it is how you are acknowledging abstraction and how you're acknowledging what is here, and you realizing you have a choice before there is even the concepts of sanity and insanity. There is the being's existential observance of the choices that reality presents, and sometimes we don't know how these choices will lead. Sometimes we see simple things, but we don't know how complex they can get. I'm holding a rock, but I don't know how many times it's going to hit the surface of the water when I throw it, For just like those 7 ripples of the rock that was thrown in space, the 7 cities of love are how you recognize self beyond self. And it seems that the simplicity of the complexity found in the physical plane is that our origin of experience is in a very dynamic state of being, and we're all trying to figure it out in a static state of being, you know. And so that's why it has to be a very direct experiential knowing, rather than a knowing where, you know, you're getting from, you know, some director of a library. Of course, libraries are, if treated like temples, are great sanctuaries, but it is up to you to discover the sense of you, to be the same you in the word universe. For anyone who is going through a complex, let's say, experience right now, or something they don't know what to do or what's going to happen, I recommend you, again, go in nature, go to your local park or somewhere, or your backyard, and look at a tree and sit still and silent. You will see the beauty of such a doing is that when you become silent and still, your awareness to how noise and movement are projecting reality becomes more sensitive. So it's as if once the last ripple on the pond was gone, there was a complete settled surface reflecting greater skies. In silence and stillness, observance, existential observance, is amplified. In that existential observance, you will begin to find a sense of sincere and honest knowing. It doesn't have to be someone, it's not you, it's not based on anything, it's just something you know. And then, in trusting every moment of your experience, life shall lead the rest. The simplicity of existential intelligence has always guided the complex realities of the experiences. And of course, in the beginning, that suggests an end. There would be no end to have ever even begun. Your awareness, your awareness to being is make you aware of all actions being done. And there's a graceful flow of life. And of course, what sincerity and honesty do, what the paths of sincerity and honesty do, is that they simplify the complexity that doesn't need to be there, because you're bringing all your values to the value you are directly aware of. You know, it doesn't have to be even in regards to the physical plane of existence. It's just a direct awareness to all that is real for you, and so your sense of unrealness or whatever recalibrates. For when complexity paved the way, simplicity was its own mark. Much blessings and namaste.